It's kind of a physical, contemplative practice that takes meditation one step further. Ultimately, the target doesn't matter. Once the arrow is gone, it's gone. It's where are you in that moment, staying in that moment over and over again. One of the important things, besides just working with the plants and being up here, is the ability to try to create some kind of micro community of people that come from these different worlds. That's really important to us. That familial feeling, it helps us to get through these long summer days. The change in the seasons between spring and summer can sometimes be a little surprising. It's almost like you wake up one day and, okay, it's summer. The light's different. What the plants need suddenly become different.
We're doing a little bit of bottom leafing and interior stripping, and we're doing this because we want to allow more airflow to the interior of the plant. Observation is like the most important part of cultivating, to be in tune with what's happening.
Part of that observation is when to know when to not do anything to the plants. Now is the time of year we're just letting them do their thing.
We're here to serve the plants. We're kind of just the go-between the natural forces and the needs of the plant. When they tell us they need something, we respond.
The bounty of summer is really exciting when you're standing out in your garden and you can hear all of the pollinators buzzing around you. That feels like Mother Nature is working in balance and is happy.
Cannabis plants are huge, glorious. They're just starting to flower.
This is a pretty extreme climate to cultivate but we've stored enough rainwater to be able to grow everything that we want to grow.
The more attention you can give cannabis, the more beautiful, the more potent. This plant loves humans as much as humans love it. The saying that the best fertilizer are the farmer's footsteps. So just going by the plant daily, they can reach their maximum potential with the minimal interventions.
My dad bought this land around the same time I was born. When the drug war started heating up and the battlefield came here, he didn't think he wanted to stay here and raise a kid here during that time. And that led him to follow a different path. When he moved to Ukiah, he started coming back up here quite a bit and helping from the first year I was here fixing this cabin back up and on the farm and in all sorts of ways.
As Daniel was growing up, I wanted him to pursue his own dreams and find a life that he loved. Now that he's established a family here and a farm and a way of being here, that thrills me. Oh, good job. Can you pull up another one? He harvested 6 onions.
Wow, Ash. Hold that end, the ball, onion ball, and now let's put it in. Put it in the wheelbarrow. It just there you go. Makes this life so much richer to know that this is a seed that my dad planted in his youth. That it's now in my life and in building a family here, I'm helping to foster that seed and see it through. Asher, bring this to Zadie. I want to be like my dad someday. I want to be leading my grandchildren out into this same garden. I want them to be able to experience that.
What I wouldn't do with some flat land.
Yeah, farming on a slope is
not easy.
Yeah.
So you kind of got to make use of all the space you got because there just isn't that much of it. Summer is definitely a time of perseverance. The heat of the day is punishing. The days are long. It's hard not to get burnt out. In this hot, dry environment where there is very little water, we get abundant water in one season and not enough in another. And so if you can store it, then you can utilize it when the landscape is brown. It's also excellent for swimming in. My grandfather's name was Robert, so we call the big pond Lake Robert. His motto was always, let us be happy in our work. And so that's a big part of the ethos behind HappyDay Farms.
When I moved here, my father came up here first, and when he put those plants in the greenhouse, they went through the roof. They went 14 feet tall, and the neighbors were asking Robert about his tomato plants. My sense of pride, not only in the farm, but in what Casey has done at the county level, at the state level, and you know, that whole sense of continuity and family is overwhelming, beyond our wildest expectations.
Being part of a multi-generational farmstead, it's a very powerful thing. The strength of family is what carries you through the difficult times, because farming's hard. It'll knock you down and you got to get back up and keep going. I think Robert would be really thrilled to see what's happening here.
The only difference between summer right now and a couple years ago is the roads are pretty quiet. Cannabis is changing in the world so rapidly. It feels like a calm before a storm. Before I moved to Southern Humboldt, I was living in San Francisco where I was playing music and making art, and that was my life. There was a kind of independence and a freedom in that. And cannabis feels really familiar in that way. There was a period of time in the city when things were really happening. There were clubs to play at, there were shows every night, and then the city changed. There was a kind of cultural shift. Most people I know left the city. And so I had a lesson around cultural preservation. As we're coming out of Prohibition, it's not yet federal, and even in California, there's counties that don't allow outdoor cultivation at all. Prohibition took freedom away from a lot of people, and still a lot of people suffer that loss.
There's a whole set of injustice surrounding prohibition of cannabis. In '85, National Guard landed the chopper down in the valley, and they kicked the folks' house apart, over 30 plants. That was one of my very early, very formative memories. And then in 2008, I got caught up in a federal sweep as well. Did some jail time in 2009.
As legalization was approaching in Southern Humboldt, I was really reminded of the mid-90s in San Francisco, when I saw that change coming and there was nothing I could do about it. But with this change, I feel like there's something I can do to keep the door open for other small farmers. We've got a lot stacked against us, but this is when we get to prove ourselves.
Oh, the weed smells so good.
In the wintertime, we have more time to hang out with each other and read books and eat food and enjoy each other's company. In the summer, we're definitely jamming harder and we see less of each other. For Casey and I to be able to sit down and make a meal and enjoy each other's company is really important.
When you live in a place for this long, it becomes a part of you. I feel connected to this place and the people in my life, and connected to those people's connection to this place and what it provides for them and for our family.
Babe, do you want to help shuck any corn?
Look, that's got a handle. You can hold on to the handle and eat the corn.
We're deeply committed to local food and eating what we produce here. You know, I think when we're able to take the time to make ourselves the meals that we want to eat and close that loop, those are the times that we're the happiest.
A toast to Andy, 68 years young. Yes. And none of this would be here without you. Thanks. Appreciate you so much.
Thank you. The best thing to do on my birthday that I could think of.
At this point in the summer, you hope for the best. But there's some fear tied up in that because anything can happen from now on out. It can all get snatched away. So it's never done until it's done. But that's the challenge of farming, and that's why I love it. That's why I'm out here.
Once we do this, I'll get a handful of this and I'll take it to feed the goats.
They love it.
Goats eating weed, you know, good stuff.